Tip of our plastic opening tool into the seam and using a gentle prying motion, you should start to separate the clips that hold that back cover onto the Kindle. Working yourself around the entire unit should free up the back cover for removal. With our back cover removed, we can go ahead and start working on the 4 Phillips screws at the corners of our Kindle to begin our entry into the replacement of our display assembly. Let's move on now to our motherboard screws, unplugging our speaker connection to access our first, and then working ourselves around the entire motherboard, removing all of the securing screws. Let's work now towards the removal of our batteries, starting with the single T5 Torx bit screw that requires a specific screwdriver for removal. And then we can address the other 4 Phillips screws that secure it into place. Don't forget to peel the wire out of its channel in the metal cover for the battery. And now we can back out the plug connection at the motherboard and remove the battery from the Kindle. Let's now peel up on all of our connections at our motherboard so that we can prepare for removal. When addressing the ribbon wire for our headphone jack assembly, be certain to unlock the locking socket before removing this cable from our motherboard. Let's now go ahead and lift our motherboard out of the Kindle. There's a single securing screw down by our camera that needs to be removed. If you remove the speaker with the single Phillips screw securing it, you will see an antenna located under this piece. We need to peel up on this antenna, releasing the framework from our display assembly. Let's now get our headphone jack out of the way, release the 2 locks for each of the ribbon cables to peel those back from the assembly. And remove the final Phillips screw that's securing it into place to remove our assembly. The separation of our framework from our display assembly should be just minor prying and slight maneuvering around our ribbon cables. If you're watching this video and you've made it this far, it's likely that you have a broken LCD or front touchscreen. You'll notice our Kindle does not have a broken glass. It's not recommended to do this procedure as you might cause damage to your display assembly. To begin the separation of your display assembly from the plastic frame, you're going to start with your heat gun or blow dryer and heat up the adhesive that secures the display assembly to that plastic frame. About 1 to 2 minutes of heat should suffice. And then you're going to use a little bit of patience as well as a spudger to begin to separate the plastic frame from your display assembly for replacement. After the installation of our replacement part from fixeasy.com, to reassemble, we're going to do every step in reverse exactly the way we disassembled. Let's start off by maneuvering all of our buttons and ribbon wires properly into place, and then bringing our framework back in on top of our display assembly. Here is our headphone jack assembly we can secure with the 2 Phillips screws. Reconnect our 2 ribbon cables into their locking sockets. Next, let's bring in our speaker assembly and secure it with the single Phillips screw. Next, let's set our motherboard into place and be mindful of the connections. We can then begin securing the motherboard down with our Phillips screws. All of our motherboard connections are next in line, starting with the ribbon cable for the headphone jack assembly into our locking socket. The rest of our connections are push plug style that we can secure now accordingly. The securing screw in the corner of our motherboard comes with the metal cover for one of our connections. Let's not forget this cover plate when we're putting in that corner screw. We can now line up both of our speaker plug connections to our motherboard and secure those. And let's bring our battery into the body of the Kindle and fit it into its location. Push the plug into the motherboard and make sure it's secured appropriately. And begin screwing